There is a kind of love that feels like drowning, but you only realize it once you come up for air. First, it looks like devotion. It sounds like loyalty. It moves with the rhythm of sacrifice. But underneath all the giving, there is a quiet erosion, person disappearing inch by inch in the name of connection. This is not the drama of toxic love. It is something softer, more insidious. Something that rewards you for being needed and punishes you for needing back. I am Zane, a relationship consultant and psychologist, and today we are discussing the heartbreak that often lies beneath codependence. Hello, my beloved viewers. Welcome to STR TV. Let's dive in not with answers, but with questions we have been afraid to ask ourselves. Sign number 1, the disappearing self. It always starts so quietly. It's not with shouting or red flags, but with those small, tender compromises that feel like love. You cancel dinner plans with friends because they seem a little off that night. You pick up the emotional slack when they spiral, telling yourself this is what it means to be a good love partner. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, your sense of self becomes background noise. Not because they asked you to disappear, but because you volunteered. That is the trick of codependence. It rewards you for shrinking. And the more you shrink, the more you confuse love with usefulness. Your presence becomes conditional. The version of you they prefer is the one that stays small, quiet, agreeable. And over time, you stop recognizing yourself in the mirror. You stop asking, what do I want? Because their needs fill the whole room. Sign number 2, hypertunement and anxiety at first. It does feel like a connection. It's like finally someone needs you in the way you have always needed to be required. But if you listen closely, there is a quiet anxiety behind it all. A feeling that if you stopped giving, the whole thing might fall apart. You start monitoring their moods like weather patterns. Are they upset? Are they distant? Become hyper-tuned to their signals, constantly shape-shifting to keep the peace? And peace becomes a performance, not a state of being. You stop expressing your truth because honesty might provoke a storm. You become the manager of their emotional state, always vigilant, always calculating. And that hypervigilance, it is exhausting. It is the invisible labor that makes you feel responsible for everything and terrified of what might happen if you ever just stop trying. Sign number 3, guilt for having needs. After that comes the guilt. Not from them always, but from inside you. You feel bad for needing space, for wanting a night alone, for having boundaries. You tell yourself, they just need more than most people, or I am stronger. I can handle it. But your strength is not being admired, it is being exploited, and yet you stay. Because leaving feels like abandonment, and visiting feels like a duty. Yeah, the wires get crossed. Love gets confused with responsibility. Air becomes currency. And what you once gave freely now feels like a debt you cannot stop paying. Guilt keeps you tethered. You start apologizing for normal human things, being tired, needing quiet, saying no. It does not matter how gently you assert your needs. The weight of guilt lands anyway, and you carry it quietly, believing that love means never putting yourself first. Sign number 4, emotional survival over love. One of the hardest truths to accept is this. If your emotional stability depends on how someone else is doing, that is not love. That is survival. You wake up and realize that every decision you make, what to wear, who to talk to, how to spend your time, is filtered through the lens of will this upset them? It is a slow erasure of autonomy, cloaked in the language of sacrifice. But love is not meant to feel like a job. Love does not ask you to disappear, yet here you are, policing your voice, second-guessing your choices, editing yourself down to something more palatable. You begin to feel safest when you are invisible, when you are compliant, when you are empty, and the saddest part, you convince yourself that this is normal, that this is just what it takes to make love work. But love that costs you your selfhood is not love. It is a transaction. Sign number 5, the beginning of healing. My beloved viewers, if any of this feels familiar, you are not alone. Codependence is not a failure of character. It is often the survival instinct of someone who learned early that their needs were too much or their presence too disruptive. Healing begins with recognition, with that small, brave moment of asking, what about me? What do I want? It will feel uncomfortable at first, but discomfort is not always danger. Sometimes it is the beginning of freedom. Healing is not loud, is not dramatic. It often looks like small things, choosing not to text back immediately, saying no without apology, letting someone else sit with their own discomfort. It is in those moments that you reclaim yourself, one decision at a time. And slowly, your life starts to feel like yours again. Have you ever felt like your relationship demanded too much of you? How did you know it was time to change? Next time on STR TV, we will discuss 7 proven ways to build unbreakable trust in any relationship, where we explore what happens when this dynamic deepens and becomes even harder to escape. Until then, remember to trust the instincts that whisper when the world gets loud. If this resonated with you, make sure to subscribe to STR TV so you never miss an episode.